Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pure Aloha Talk, the podcast where we talk stories, inspire, and motivate each other, and spread aloha, pure aloha. I'm your host, Kiko Pure Aloha Carvalho, and I'm stoked to have you guys joining us today. Let's go. Before we introduce our guests, I want to introduce my co-host, Miss Dana. And I also want to give a special shout out to our amazing sponsors. Mahalo to Vitamin B, Kukua Support Services, Travels on Ye, Viper Sanctuary Ni'i, Hawaii Athletic Club, Inspire Play, Hawaii, Miss Dana, Dessert Kind Things, Local Joe's West, Awful God, Sweets Hawaii, Aloha Aina Tree Services on the Big Island. Let's go. Now, let's welcome our guests. Please introduce yourself, share a little bit about who you are, what's your name, where you from, and what you do for a living.
Okay. My name is Jared, Jared Fukui. Many people know me as Jay, Big J, whatever you want to call me is fine. A little bit about myself. I'm a father, a husband. I have 4 kids, 4 girls, beautiful girls. And currently I work full-time as a substance abuse counselor.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us
Yes.
today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell
Thank
us
you.
a bit. I mean, there got to be a story and a reason, and there usually is, about what leads us into what we're doing, especially in this line of work. So would you mind sharing a little bit about what brought you into being a substance abuse counselor?
Yeah, that's a
Loaded.
It's a loaded question. Really, I felt it was a calling on my life. But more so, what brought me to that is my own life and my journey and kind of what I came from and what I was doing. And yeah, that's pretty much. It doesn't really get more complex than that. I just have a passion for people and wanted to give back to the community and be part of the solution,
Yes.
not part of the problem anymore, because that's really what my story is. In short, was part of the problem, now part of the solution.
In short, for now, because we're going to dive into that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sure today. Thank you, though.
Yes.
I think that as we talk to people, we interview people. That seems, even with Kiko and his own story, that seems to be generally most people's why when it comes to this type of work is, I know that I took away from, and now it's my turn to give back to, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So thank you for all
Yeah,
that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. I love stories like that because, I kind of know your story a little bit. And to hear your story, how you was before to where you at now and what you became now, but that's very inspiring. I remember when I first got clean and sober, one of my goals was to become a substance abuse counselor. So that was one of my things I wanted to do. And look, you're doing it coming from a past where you came from. So if you would like to, can you share the past? Before you
For
was a
sure.
substance abuse counselor, what
For
was Jared back in the days?
So whenever I do share my story, especially when it comes to addiction, I try to emphasize or make it known that I think as I look back on my past and who I was, that my addiction really was just a lifestyle. Just the fast life and the things that I was doing, that was my addiction. Obviously the drugs and the alcohol and everything played a huge part in that. It played a huge role. And it was a problem for sure, but I was addicted to their lifestyle, and it was something that grabbed a hold of me from a young age. I'm not originally from here. I'm from Kentucky. I moved here in high school, and that transition and that move to Hawaii was difficult for me. It was a rough transition, and that's when I really, I would say, spiraled. I was already kind of getting into trouble back home, and so I don't want to make it sound like Hawaii is the problem or whatever, but because I was already, like I said, I had a lot of issues back home before I even came here, and but yeah, my first arrest was at 11 years old, and it was on my birthday actually.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, my
That was a good
11th
birthday
birthday.
present, huh?
Yeah.
Well, bad.
And
Whoa.
I kind of just, I don't know what it was, bro, to be honest with you. I always tell people I just kind of, it's like I gravitated to the streets, to that
Oh,
to
yeah.
that lifestyle,
Dude.
to everything that comes with it. I was exposed to a lot as a child, and that has a big influence, on the decisions I made. But I come from a good home. I want to make that known. I come from a good home, good parents. My dad's actually a pastor. He still is to this day. But I grew up with a lot of freedom. My dad was he wasn't around as much as I would have liked him to be, but not out of neglect. He was a full-time pastor, and he worked as well part-time to be able to provide for our family. And but that absence, I took advantage of that, and that's
Yeah.
I was just rebellious. I was just
I feel you.
a rebellious kid that had a
It's like a dopamine addiction, right?
it
Like
is.
The more things
It
you
really
get away
is.
with at that age, you start to learn,
Yep.
what else can I get away with,
Yep.
right?
True.
And as you start to find like clout from other kids or whatever it is that you're getting as what
Addicted
feel like
to pleasure.
positive, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
positive reinforcement. So it's hard, especially at a young age, to say no to that. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We do quite a bit with youth, and so knowing your story and where you're coming from, good family,
Yep.
and just this is what's going on, and right now we're having a lot of trouble
Mm-hmm.
with youth. You're seeing it on the news and stuff. What's a big piece of advice that you think you'd have for parents or for the community at large when we're looking at those kids who, whatever their reasons are going those paths?
Man, it's a difficult question, to be honest, and I say that because there's just so many different factors that go into the issues that we're seeing with our youth. But primarily, I would say that it starts at home. First and foremost, I believe that being raised in the ways of the Lord is key. Even though I obviously went my own path, my mom and dad, they raised me with. I was raised in a Christian home with
Core
morals, values that surrounded biblical principles and teachings and how we're to operate in this lifetime. And I think that's number one, first and foremost. And it's not always a guarantee that your child is gonna, be good and do what he or she's supposed to do and make all the right decisions, obviously, as I'm proof of that. I didn't. But, one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 22:6, and it says, raise your children in the ways of the Lord, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. And that's one of my favorite verses because not only am I trying to live that out now with my own children, but I believe it is part of the reason why I was able to turn it around as an adult. Because even though I chose to rebel and make the wrong decisions, those morals and values still were instilled in me. And when I was older, I was able to cling back onto it, and it really helped. Right. And it helped me to be able to come into a new me. Yeah. Right. Obviously, I made a decision finally to give my life to the Lord and actually surrender to Him and live in His will. But it was a large part of that had to do with how I was raised and the prayers that was constantly being lifted for me. But I it starts in the home, and it you know, a lot of these issues that we're seeing with the youth it has to do with sometimes just flat out rebellion. You know, they just like just don't want to listen. You know, even when they have good people around them, right? You know, young, dumb,
Yep.
think you know everything. You got it all figured out. All you worried about is chasing fun, pleasure, whatever's cool, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to fit in where you can get in.
Grow up too fast.
Exactly,
You know.
and that's sometimes it's just that. And then obviously you have those who are growing up in abusive households. Parents are in their own addictions and they're being neglected, abandoned, not raised. And
Right.
so when you have that type of environment, there's nothing else you can really expect. Now there are kids that grow up in that kind of environment who don't succumb to that, but that's not the majority, right? That's the minority.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's having guys like him and yourself and people that are willing to
bro.
give their time and pour into them, love on them, and show them that there's another way.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes it's just that. You know,
That's what it is, bro. Love. You said
Yep.
it, bro. Love.
loving on them.
Yes, bro. God is love, and love is the number one thing. Cause you ask plenty kids who rebel out and all that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them I talk to, you know, they feel like nobody loves them.
They don't
care
have
about
'em,
them,
yep.
man. And I knew that was my problem too, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I had mommy issues. I always told my mom never cared about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but same thing with my mom. Like, my mom never do drugs. She don't smoke. She never drank. Do nothing like that. My dad never do no drugs, no smoke, but he drank a lot.
Yep.
But you know, so it wasn't like drugs was in my household. But they worked all the time.
Yep.
And we worked all the time. So I had a lot of freedom, just like you. Same,
Yep.
same thing.
A lot
Running the
of freedom and a
streets.
lot of anger, right?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
That was me. Same thing.
Yeah, so.
Just a lot of resentment growing up out of, you know, I'm not gonna say none of my anger was valid, but as I've gotten older and wiser, you know, a lot of it was just petty stuff, just resentments and feeling entitled to things or that I should have had or things should have been this way or that way. I had a lot of resentment for years just for moving here, you
Right.
know, and being brought all the way to Hawaii. And I had actually, right before we moved here, I actually got my girlfriend pregnant. And unfortunately, she did not keep that child. But that was a huge part of,
Huge
you know,
trigger.
yeah, for me,
Absolutely.
just a lot of depression. And I didn't realize that's what I was going through at that time.
course not.
But as, you know, today, looking back, I'm able to clearly see that, man, I was battling both of those things, depression, anger, and, you know, I was
Grieving.
drowning it with alcohol. I dropped out of school as sophomore. So I only when I got here, I was a sophomore in high school. I went to Pearl City. But I only went for a few months, and I was drinking. I wasn't going to class. I wasn't doing nothing. And finally, the principal had called my mom and them one day and asked them to come up to the school. And I went with them. And the principal pretty much told my mom and them, like, you know, we think it would be best if you just sign your son out of school. And so that's what I did. I dropped out with the intention to go to the those C-based programs, the community school for adults or whatever that they had. I don't think they're running them anymore, and I did try, but at that time I was still smoking, burning all the time, you know, drinking all the time. I was going to class high. I remember one of my teachers for one of the classes I was taking, he would talk to me after class sometimes because he knew I was high, he knew I was stoned, you know what I mean? And he would talk to me, but that didn't work, so I finally just left the school and was doing everything I was doing. I ended up getting my GED when I was locked up, though, so
Nice.
I ended up
Yeah.
being able to accomplish that. I needed to be able to sit down and had to, you
Nothing
know,
else to
I was
do.
forced to sit down, and I was able to do that, so.
Wow.
Right on. Man, look at you now, bro. Look where you at
Trying.
now, yeah.
I'm
Hey,
trying, man.
That's what it is. Yeah, just trying every day, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Just keep trying. That's what
Yep.
it is, bro. And you know, when you was talking about like when you came to Hawaii,
Yeah.
you know, that was like one big thing. Like I know for me, like change. So a lot of people they think about if you move somewhere else, it would help you change,
Mm-hmm.
right? The environment. Oh, I gotta get away from my environment and that.
Yep.
I remember I try to do that a lot of times. I moved a lot off island or I moved to the States and all that because I thought I'll do better.
Yep.
I ended up doing worse because I didn't change myself.
Yep.
So no matter where you go, if
Yep.
you're not changing yourself, you gonna carry all that with you everywhere you go, right?
Facts.
That's all true. So
When
Yeah, I have.
change is scary to people, right? So if the only constant you have are your habits,
Mm-hmm.
or if that's the thing that you feel the most safe and comfortable and normal with because everything around you has changed, it's hard to give that up too.
Yeah,
You know, so sometimes it's just like it's a crutch.
it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a rough transition for me. I you know, it really made me have a empathy for military kids. Cause so growing up where I'm from, I never been around that. I never been around like military families.
Right, there's not a
and I never
military
saw
base
that
in your
when-
neighborhood, yeah.
No, nowhere near. You know, well, there's Fort Knox, but that's not really a. You know, there is a base in Kentucky somewhere, I think, but not where I'm from. And so coming here and being exposed to that, and meeting military kids and listening to like how they live and learning that like they gotta move every 3 years with their parents.
yeah, damn.
Like I could never. I can't imagine how that feels, you know. But I have I've talked to some that tell me they like it, you know, and they make friends everywhere they go, and they do okay, and you know they've built relationships over the years with, you know, and they like to travel. But I don't. Most of the ones that I know that say they don't, you know, it's hard. It's a rough. It's so. Yeah,
of
that
course.
it was
Especially as a
rough for
kid.
me for sure.
Right on, brother. Thank you for sharing that, bro.
Yeah.
I just want to say I'm proud of you. For real,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
Very proud of
Same to you.
you. Thank you.
Crazy story, bro.
Yeah, God is amazing, huh?
Every day.
Shout out to God, bro.
Shout him out.
For real,
All
big
day,
shout out
every
to
day,
God,
'cause
cause
he is the only reason.
he is.
He is the only reason.
He's the only reason. He's a man. He's a legend. He's everything.
I mean, look
I-
at
I love
King
him.
Jesus.
I love him.
King Jesus, to be exact.
to be
Let's
able
go.
to be able to be looking at this picture of these two absolute hard knocks with that years ago you'd probably be not wanting to be sitting in the room with, right alone with, and worrying about having your purse getting stolen or whatever, and being the very
Wow.
ones, right? That, you know what I'm talking about. Being the very ones though that are now making the change. It's actually way more powerful, and we talk about this, you know, a lot with our other nonprofit partners, because especially you with Kokua Support Service, when the counselor comes in looking like me, they don't listen to me, right? Because I learned it from a book, I learned it from college. I never experienced it in my life. I have compassion, but I don't have true empathy because I haven't been there.
Yeah.
And they don't look at me or somebody who looks like me and think that they can trust me, think that I know how to help them, think that I understand them. And that's what makes this so powerful, what you guys do, because they can trust you. They know you get it. And they also get to see that you've been through it and came out of it.
Yeah.
So you don't just get to support them through theirs and what they're going through, but you get to be kind of that example and that hope and that motivation and proof, actually, right? Proof of concept that you can change, right?
There's the relatable aspect.
Yeah, and it is very powerful.
That is powerful. Like, I just like know. So the first time you got arrested was 11 years old.
Yeah.
What was the last time you got arrested?
So the last time I got arrested was when I changed my life around. That was that was the serious arrest. I was arrested in between, you know, I got multiple DUIs before even the age of 21, so I was locked up here and there for even the DUIs and, you know, stuff that had to do with driving, you know, driving on the revoke, like all those kind of stuff. But the last arrest, I was raided. Me and my wife and I was where we lived at the time. We were raided, so that's, you know, I was selling drugs. That's the life I got into, and that's how I was.
So you're talking about the fast life.
Feeding my family and doing what I was doing was all because of that. And fortunately, thank God, it was brought to a halt. That was January 3rd, 2013. We were raided, and yeah, so that was my last arrest, and that's what started everything. I would say that when I was arrested at that time, it was a relief for me. When I was sitting and holding, and I was kind of in shock, but it was a relief for me because at that time, I was kind of going through this phase in my life for this transitional period where I was wanting to stop what I was doing because of something that happened at my daughter's school, an experience that I had, and it just kind of triggered me to like, what am I doing? You know, as a dad, as a husband, like I don't want to do this anymore. And so before we got raided, I went through something with my wife as well.
So you was already thinking of changing.
And already, I was already trying to find my way, but I was not able to, which I believe, the
so
Lord.
Something bad had to happen.
And I had to be stripped of everything.
Kick your skin, cause I get a similar thing just like that, bro. And that's God, because people that's hard headed, not gonna change. It's also things hard gotta happen to, right?
I tell everybody that I truly believe the reason why I was raided is God allowed it. He orchestrated it because I was not doing it. He knew my heart. He knew what I wanted to do. He knew the attempts I had made, and I just was struggling. And something had to happen. Obviously, right?
Of course.
And it really set me in motion to who I am today. And I'm not perfect. I still struggle with things, but I'll never go back to that life style. I'll never turn my back on the Lord. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll never walk away from Him. But what really did it for me, I think, was when I was in holding, one of the officers came to my cell, and just to check on me. It was probably like 24 hours already, had gone about a day or so, and he came to check on me and knocked on the cell door and said, "Hey, Mr. Fukui, how you doing?" Da 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 da, and just small talk. And he was like, "Yeah, that's your girlfriend down the hall, yeah?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, not," which was my wife, but she didn't have my last name at that time. And so they didn't know she was my wife at that time. But he was like, "Yeah." He was like, your girlfriend's down the hall." And I was like, "No, she's not." Because at the raid, when they took me, the last time I saw my wife and my girls they were in a van sitting across the parking lot. I was in the back of one of the squad cars, police cars, and she was in the van.
So she got arrested too.
So yeah, but at that time I did not know. I had no idea. And so he's like, "No, so he's going through his clipboard, and he was like, told me her name and was like, "Hope, y'all doing this or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "She's here, and she's across the hall."
Oh, that must have broken.
And I was like, "My
Jeez.
wife got arrested?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "She got charged too," and da 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 da. And at this time, my stuff was on the news, and I didn't know that, and so we were both on the news together. They put our mug shots up on the news and what happened, and but my immediate thought was, well, where's my girls at? Where's my kids?
Oh, of course.
Because I'm like, well, if my wife is arrested and I'm in here, where's my girls? I was like, where's my kids at? And he was like, well, I'm pretty sure social services took them, at the station. And he was like, that's usually what happens in these kind of situations. And he was like, I don't have all the details. He was like, I'm sorry, I can't really provide you with too much more information. But he was like, that's usually what happens. CPS gets involved, social services gets involved, and they'll go, do whatever they need to do. And that is what happened. And that broke me, you know what I mean? And so after he left my cell, I kind of just, I collapsed, bro, and I hit my knees, and I was just crying. And right then and there, I asked the Lord to come into me and to change me. And that's when I tell everybody I got saved, you know what I mean, in that cell. And I felt this warm feeling. And, I always heard stories about people, sharing their testimonies and say they had these experiences where they felt like this weight was, lifted up. I felt like I had that. And so it was just, I can't explain it, but it was this feeling that I had. It was warm, and I just felt this weight lifted, and I just felt like at peace. Moving on, come to find out my mom ended up getting emergency custody. My wife's charges ended up getting dropped at her preliminary hearing, thank God. And she got custody back. Then I was on a no contact order for a little bit. But went through the whole process with CPS, had an amazing caseworker. And me and her was working together, and at the end of our stuff, I know she told me, she was like, I want to tell you something, and she scolded me a couple times and was like, when we met up, and she was like, this is the fastest I ever seen a CPS case closed ever, and she had been there like 14 years already. She was like, I never seen a case closed this fast, and she was like, you and your wife made some dumb choices, but it's clear that you guys got the support you need, and you're on your way and doing what you need to do. So I was able to see my kids again. It wasn't too long, a couple months. And yeah, the case got closed and we moved forward. Yep.
Wow.
Beautiful, bro. And I'm so happy for you, and keep fighting the good fight.
Trying, man.
And that's what we can do, by keep trying, keep fighting the good fight, keep putting God first in everything we do, right?
Everything.
I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, sharing all that. I know people gonna be hearing this, and guarantees some families out there, whatever they're doing right now, they're gonna hear that story, and I guarantee they're gonna think twice now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, about what they're doing right now, because man,
Absolutely.
that's the consequences of it, right?
Yep.
So thank you for sharing
One, and could
Thank
you
you.
just share also, for those families and those people who are seeking support, can you tell us a little bit about where they can find you and Kukua Support Services, and what it looks like to be able to reach out for help from you guys?
Well, I work as a substance abuse counselor for Kukua Support Services. I run the evening program over there for men. It's only for men's, gender specific. It is for guys that are working full time, but still need to complete treatment for whatever reason. You can also come as on your own. You don't have to be like referred by the court or anything like that. But yeah, outside of that though, if you're struggling with mental health issues, if you're whatever it is, in any type of crisis, we have a 24-hour crisis line. That's what my wife does actually for Hawaii Cares.
Oh, beautiful.
They got an awesome team over there. And there's plenty of other agencies on Oahu, and there's so many different resources. One of the things that blew my mind when I got into this field and started working, doing what I'm doing, is just realizing and learning how much resources is out here.
Really are, yeah.
And I think that people really just don't have a clue. And there's so much, there is so much that people can tap into. And it just takes a little bit of footwork.
Oh yes, of course.
But sometimes you need the help and you need the support, and that's what calling those hotlines is for. It really, it assists in that, right? Those guys that are working on the other end, they are helping guide and direct, and to tell you where you need to go and what you need to do for this or that, whether it be housing, stabilization, you're just going through some type of crisis, mental health crisis, whatever it is.
Yeah, the help is out there, guys.
It's out there.
There's a
It's
lot of
plenty.
help out there.
Plenty.
Yeah.
And don't ever think you're alone,
Yeah.
because you're not alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Huge blessing. One last question.
Yep.
Give us the aloha for the day.
The aloha for the day. Love on those who's hard to love on.
Ah,
Beautiful.
That's good.
Oh, thank you.
That's
That was a
good.
beautiful one.
That gave me chicken.
Yeah, right on, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. You call Pure Law.
Thank
Our
you.
co-host, Miss Dana. Our guest, Jared. It's the Pure Law Talks. Aloha. Boom.